Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. This is Overland Weekly, episode number 27. My name is Davey. I am your host. And man, it is warm. As we are filming this, it is mid-July here in Tennessee, and even it's 8 o'clock at night, and it's still pretty muggy outside. So I hope wherever you are, maybe it's a little more comfortable, but it has been a warm week here. But with that said, it's been a good week. Got out, went to Colmont with a club run last weekend. Had a good time. The weather cooperated there. No drama, no major breakage from anybody. Just a good ride with the community. And speaking of community, so when we started this show, that was really the goal, was to kind of explore, the people, the places, and the events that make up this off-road community. And I don't say the word community lightly. It's not a Toyota community or a Land Cruiser community. It is the greater community. I'm a Toyota guy. We talk a lot about Toyotas on this show, but we've never been exclusive. I want to explore it all. And with that said, tonight we're going to talk about a topic that I think is relevant. This show, my office here is in downtown Franklin, Tennessee, which is the home of the Nissan North American headquarters. And so I asked some of my Nissan owning and loving friends to join me tonight, and let's take a little while and kind of talk about the history of Nissan four-wheel drives and what makes them unique in this off-road community. So if you're not familiar, Nissans came in the late 50s under the Datsun name into the U.S. The first trucks, I think the first one was the Datsun 220, and then there was like the 520 and the 720, and then in the mid-80s, I think 86, that the Datsun becomes the hard body. And then 97, the Frontier comes out, the Titan a few years after that. Of course, then the Titan, now it's already gone again. And I believe we're on the third generation of Frontier. And I don't know where the Xterras fell in that timeline, but I've got some guys that I'm sure can explain that for us. So let me add everyone into the show here. Folks, welcome to the show. Chase McFresh, Ethan Murphy, Nick Dozier, and Jordan Fernandes. How we doing, gentlemen?
Good.
What's up? It's good to be here.
Look at Nick slowly coming in again. He has to make an entrance. So.
Wish I was in my garage. What am I doing wrong?
Ethan, is that a real truck behind you?
That is a real truck, believe it or not. Not a green screen. A green screen. All right, hold on.
Open the door.
You don't believe me? I'll show you.
Oh, proof.
Oh,
proof.
Yeah. Chase, is that a green screen?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I bought one just for the show.
He took it.
Took a while to find a dismantled Frontier to put back there, though. Not a lot of Google images for that.
If there was an engine hoist over the bay, we wouldn't question it. We'd be like, yeah, that's the garage.
It's a Nissan. It's supposed to be getting worked on anyways. I'm not surprised.
I like Nick's RAV4 is back there. I like that.
Yeah.
Looks good.
Oh, I see.
Is that the trail edition?
That's SR5. Front wheel drive.
All right. So if you're wondering how this kind of band of folks came together here, so Jordan, Ethan, and Chase are all pretty diehard Nissan wheelers and supporters. Nick was at that camp in one time and kind of was one of the early adopters of the Nissan off-roading scene here in the Nashville area. And then he picked up that RAV4 that's behind him and was done with all things Nissan, with the exception of his Titan, that he threatens to sell every other year. So
I don't threaten to sell it. I threaten to blow it up every 6 weeks. If it doesn't grenade itself.
how's the transmission doing?
Well, number two's, hanging on. How's that engine doing?
What engine? You're talking to Chase.
I'm talking to me. He felt a little small tick or something, and he just put a whole new engine in his vehicle.
That's true.
Might as well.
They might as well.
Very
Yeah,
preventative. I love it.
you get to 60,000 miles, you got to start thinking about those things with Nissan.
Oh yeah, you know it for sure.
So, guys, if you don't follow these guys on Instagram, they're all great follows. But I was going to say that Chase's stories are mainly from what you see right there in that garage with a motor torn down, or from the junkyard where he's pulling said motor. And we were talking about earlier, I don't think he realizes it, but he says all the time, I just couldn't pass it up. Whether it's an engine, a truck, a transmission. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. That's just that's unfortunately who I am. So
All right.
We love you for it. We love you for it.
thank you. It could have been a lot worse.
Yeah. It could have
And
been
I may or
cheaper.
may not be the one asking him, hey, is this at the yard? Can you pull it for me?
Yeah.
I see. Yeah.
Starting a pulling service. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
all right. So this is a good segue because as a Land Cruiser owner, it is pretty difficult for me to go to a junkyard and find parts for my truck. There might be something off a Tundra, but the chance of there being a second generation Tundra in the junkyard is slim to none. But that's kind of an advantage in the Nissan world. I mean, Chase, you have pretty good luck on these junkyard runs.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much every time I'm back in the Nashville area. So obviously I don't live there anymore, but just a short drive from there, and they've got some of the best yards. And for some reason, it seems like there's at least a Pathfinder, Xterra, Frontier, if you're Titan swapped, Armada, Titan. There's always something at one of the different yards in the Nashville area. And honestly, it's like you said, Davey, it's some of the Toyota stuff. If you see it, you kind of double take. Oh my God, there's a 4Runner, and I could barely make it out because everything is stripped off of it.
Yeah.
But it is. Yeah, there's a lot of Nissans to come by, and it kind of leaves you a little greedy, saying, I'll pass that up and wait for a better option, when the Toyota crowd would have, yanked it up if they could.
Well, how did each of you, I guess we can kind of start with some origin stories here. For each of you, was your Nissan a strategic purchase, or you just maybe bought the vehicle and then kind of got the enthusiast bug later? How did it all play out? We'll start with you, Jordan.
Yeah, I got the best 4x4 that I could get at the time.
Okay.
So I come from, Honda Civics. That's my background. And just decided I'm enjoying camping and hiking and wanted to get a 4x4. Obviously, I wanted to go for a 2-door Jeep. That was like what I wanted. And I realized my budget didn't go very far. So I started looking at rusty ones. That's not a great idea. So I started looking at 4th gen 4Runners, and they were pretty tired. They were pretty tired in my budget. And then I started test driving Xterras. And I saw one off-road one time while we were kayaking, and I must have gotten like stars in my eyes. My friend said, okay, Jordan's going to buy an Xterra. And then I went and did a test drive of one that was like perched on top of a rock at this old dealership in Murfreesboro. I was like, how are you going to get that off? He said, oh, no worries. He just like backed it right off. And I was like, I got to have one of those. Just showing the departure angles just blew my mind. And yeah, I got into it for $6,000, and now I'm stuck. Now then I got into the enthusiasm. I was like, a little mild build, just put it through some mud puddles or whatever. And I'll never Titan swap it, not a big deal. And here I go. It just kind of went off like that. So, yeah, just got into it because that's what I could afford. So, yeah.
And Jordan, I know we were talking earlier, you've been busy, a lot of family stuff going on, but you have another round of build out on the truck that you hadn't really taken a lot of pictures of or showed out there online yet.
Yeah. Okay. So I've done the Titan swap. I think that was last year. Ethan and I worked on it in the garage. I think that was last year. So we did the Titan swap, and it's got 2.5-inch rad flows up front, 2-inch in back, and the ride is so much better. And it wheels hard. It does great. It's got armor all the way around. And then I actually got a front differential from a Titan from Chase. Chase's Junkyard Adventures brought me a front differential, and then I got a rear differential from a Pro 4X Xterra, which has the OEM e-locker in the rear. So swapped both of those axles in. I actually had a local guy do it. It was Kirk with Hollerwood.
Mm-hmm.
So he did it for me. Too much going on with the little baby, but so I added a front air locker in the front diff, re-geared it to 408, and it works great. I'm still in the break-in period on the gears, and that was a big one. That feels really good so far. I haven't actually wheeled it, but that's coming soon.
Yeah, we can fix that.
Just time and money, baby.
Ethan, how did you end up with that pavement pounder?
Oh my goodness, it pounds a lot of pavement lately.
I was looking on your Instagram trying to find some recent pics, and unfortunately, they were all on concrete.
They're not there.
Yeah.
No, they're all concrete.
Yeah.
She's a pavement princess right now. But no, so I kind of like Jordan grew up just driving street cars. I never really had anything that was capable. But kind of where I was from, there wasn't much to do out there. I love to hike. I love to camp. I love to get out. But it wasn't until I became like an adult and kind of had like adult money, whatever you want to call it. I was like, hey, I can get my own car. And through some mutual friends, I actually ran into Nick through a mutual friend of mine that I went to college with. And unbeknownst to him, he's the reason I got into a Frontier. So, whether that's a good or bad thing, so far it's been a good thing. But I looked at a few options. I saw this one down in Clarksville, and kind of knowing the off-road world, I was like, I'd be silly if I can help it to like find, or not find one that doesn't have a rear locker in it. And so I basically stole this one from a dealership. It had 23,000 miles on it, basically untouched. One little nick on the rear bumper cover, and I was like, well, that's going to get replaced at some point down the road too. Hopefully, didn't know how or when. And that's kind of how we went into it. I was looking at this one and actually a Jeep Grand Cherokee because I like the look of them. And thank goodness I did not go that route because I wouldn't have been able to do what I wanted to in it.
Bullet dodged.
Yeah, pretty much. So I like the look of them. I like the SUV because I've driven SUVs my whole life. But coming into a pickup truck, we had house projects. We just bought our first home, and all these things that made sense to get a truck. And I thought a midsize would be great because I can take it out and camp and wheel and do the cool things that I see some buddies and mutual connections doing. And so that's kind of how I landed into it. It's one of those builds where you say you won't do this, and then literally the next week you've already done it times 2. So that's kind of how the Titan swap comes about. We can get into the details because people throw that around like candy. But there's a couple of different ways you can actually achieve that kind of keyword or phrase. So it's been good. It's seen a lot of pavement miles lately. But I'm excited to get it on some dirt, and I just finally put mud terrains on it for the first time. And that's one of those things I said, I'm team all terrain. But I found a steal of some on, Chases in the junkyards. I'm on Facebook Marketplace, just, pissing my wife off all the time. So
I'm there too. Trust me. I've got the screen time to prove it.
I'm sure. Oh yeah, I'm sure we are. So anyway, long story short, ended up finding some, and they were a 35. So I'm rocking a 315, 75, 16, and basically a plug and play. And they've seen pavement, but I'm excited to get them out of the dirt.
It's funny, Ethan. You have held on to AT tires for like longer than anybody I know, and the places that I've seen you put that truck with a set of all terrains that it should not have. They should not have been. And I know, like you're very meticulous about things on your vehicle and how you want it and how you want it to drive. And you're like, I don't want it to be too loud and this and that. And so people would get mud terrains, and you get a text from Ethan. He'd be like, "How loud are those? Now, which ones did you get again?" Yeah, I think I'm going to do it. I think I'm going to do it. And then he'd buy another set of ATs. So
sure enough, yeah. It's funny. There's a guy named LJ. A lot of you probably know him. TN Adventure, and he had put mud terrains on his Land Cruiser, and he had his Toyo all terrains in a 35 spec, and I was like, well, it's a good way to try it out and see if I really want to make the jump, because I was like, I don't know if I need 35s. I didn't want to deal with all the cutting and clearancing. And so I jumped into all terrains pretty quickly, even though I really wanted to jump to a mud terrain. But that kind of set the stage for how everything was going to get cut, clearance, flex, stuff, all those things. And, then I finally was like, you know what? Let's just do it. I'll never look back. They're louder. Like, the noise never bothered me, but it was also one of those things, like, from a maintenance standpoint, do I want to be dealing with, the attention that those need to last a long time, right? Because I'm very meticulous, but some things I just put off and off and off, like a steering rack. It needed replaced for the past 20,000 miles, and I just did it like a couple months ago. So it kind of ends up like that. But there's a lot. Me and Matt, buddy of mine, a lot of you guys know him too. Every day it was like, dude, I'm still team all terrains. Like, I think I can get us everywhere we need to go. And Dave, to your point, like, I've only gotten stuck 2 or 3 times, like truly stuck that I can recall, with some all terrains. But that's
that it was the fault.
It truly was the tire. Like, I just was running on street slicks at that point. So,
that severe one out at Red Clay Rally. I remember there was a real severe one. You didn't make it to a checkpoint, and we were just like, "Where's Ethan?" Remind me of that one. Was that one the fault of the tire? Or was that Joe?
That was a little bit of both. I'd say 70-30 tire to Joe. Because, I mean, granted, these were brand new 33s. I had maybe a couple thousand miles on them. So, like, for an all-terrain, they were General Grabber ATXs. And if I didn't have mud terrains now, I'd probably go back to those tires. They were fantastic. Wide, ton of tread depth. But the first checkpoint, this is the first year I went to Red Clay Rally, and it's a big point-to-point checkpoint race, so it's not really a race. And I was on the checkpoint cruise, so we go out, camp out at a spot for a couple, 2-3 hours, and take times, and then go wheel the rest of the tracks if we wanted to. And getting down in the first one, we come off a little hill into a gully, and I'm like, this looks like an absolute swamp. Like, there's no water, but all the water's running straight down into this thing. And at this point, I've wheeled a decent little bit, but nothing crazy to know enough about all the terrain. We were out in like Kentucky, and we get down in here, and Joe and I are looking at different lines. Him and his dad are there, and I'm with my buddy Colt. And so we're like, well, this might be the easiest line to not get stuck, because I didn't have a winch at the time. This was, sliders, lift, and tires, and that's it. And, we go down, and literally it's like a foot of mud. I get a rut that's like a foot deep. And I'll try to find a picture. It might take me a while, but, at that point, it was literally mud terrains. If I goosed it, I probably could have gotten out of it. It wasn't a mud hole. It's just like you go in and you just drop a foot and you can't move.
Yeah.
And then I got my rear diff stuck on a tree at the same, like a log at the same time. We had a chainsaw getting out, and literally the checkpoint was like 40 yards in front of us. And after I got through that, it would have been clear. And honestly, I was like scared to death. Like, man, if I can't do this, there's no way I can make it out of this track after everybody's come through. And a few hours later, it gets dark, and then Joe comes around, takes his muddies through, a little water track, and just goes through no problems. I'm like, oh, that'd be kind of sick. And comes around and winches me out, and then we stick the checkpoint there. But yeah, that was like the first time where I was like, man, mud terrains, like not even having recovery gear, that probably could have gotten me out of that situation. So
yeah.
And even then, I still didn't get them afterwards. I stuck with all terrains for another couple of years.
Right.
All right. So Jordan's got Jordan started with the Xterra, Ethan with the Frontier. Chase, you chose a Pathfinder, which is not kind of the norm as far as the Nissan world is concerned. Was that your first Nissan purchase?
I thought that was
yeah.
a nitro.
yeah, it is.
That screen's really small. I can't see you.
Oh yeah, sorry. I got the wide angle on apparently.
No, on my phone it's like this big. Sorry, keep going.
So that was like my first ever car. So I'm a little younger.
Why
than
did my
everybody
camera
here. But that was a car that was gifted to me. So I was
I see.
15 years old, looking around for some vehicles. I grew up in a Nissan family. We had Maximas, Altimas, an Infinity. My grandmother down the street had an R50, so the 2000 to 2004 Pathfinder.
Mm-hmm.
Super great little truck. It was kind of rugged, but still luxury at the same time. And it was, opposite platform than the R51. So you got a straight axle rear subframe in the front. And that car saved her life. She's in a very bad head-on collision, and the curtain airbag and just the structure of that truck really honestly saved her life. So, of course, she got another one, and that kind of started getting my attention to the Pathfinders. I kind of grew up driving a Mitsubishi Montero. That's what my dad had. So essentially a box with windows, so that's kind of where the boxiness came from that I really liked. I always liked the SUVs. So when I got the option, I was just going to get the hand-me-down R50, but I got the option to, they wanted to put me in a vehicle that would hopefully last me through college, which it did. So that's what really kind of keyed me in on the Pathfinder. The Xterras it was an option. If I could have gone back in time, I would have got one because all the work I did on mine, I would basically be there already. But I really liked, at that point, I just wanted a nice big SUV that would last, and that really caught my eye. So it's a 2008, got it with, I think 71,000 on it in 2013, and I still have it today. This is actually that's the motor out of it, 253,000 miles later, which still running condition, just doing some maintenance on it. But I had that car for, I put almost 200,000 miles on it myself, going from high school to road trips, going back and forth to college. Saw a lot of highway time before it ever saw the dirt, just because I didn't have the finances to wheel it, and then also if I broke it, I was SOL. So
sure.
It went through several iterations. Nick liked to tease me about my 2010 Hostels that I used to have on some 33s, because that's what was cool at the time, light bars before lockers. But then it saw a lot of pretty cool upgrades along the way. It's fully Titan swap now in the front, suspension wise. Got a custom 3-link in the rear that I did in this garage, and it's been really like a blank canvas for me to. I've always been real tinkery and wanting to learn about things. So it's been a really good platform to take apart, learn how to make it better, see what works, how does this work, and it's been kind of the underdog because, again, it's the Pathfinder. It's the mom luxury van from that era. And I think it's honestly been a really, really cool project for me, and it's going to end up on blocks in my backyard one day.
How does the Pathfinder dimensionally, wheelbase wise, compare to the Xterra?
I think from factory, it's like 111 and a half. And the Xterra is like right around 109, 110 from my research. So it's basically the same thing. It's on the same frame. Obviously, there's provisions in the rear for the independent rear suspension, but everything from like gas tank up is the same as the Xterra and Frontier. So it's practically the same wheelbase.
Well, Mr. Dozier, before you purchased that RAV4 behind you there, you went through a couple of Nissans in your household, a Frontier and an Xterra. Which one did you get first?
Well, I want to apologize to Chase. A field mouse was trying to come into my garage, and I was screaming, "Hey, get out of here!" So I wasn't like yelling at kids or anything. I'm
just
the
field mouse, no worries.
And noticed this little mouse was like hanging out by my garage. So maybe I should quit eating crackers out here. But if we're gonna kick it way back, first couple cars were Jeep XJs. Had a little 96 XJ. We had an 89 XJ and I think a 93 XJ. 2 white ones and 1 black one. Then we got a GMC, a 1999 GMC Sierra 4x4 Z71. That was a fun little ride. But what kind of kicked this whole thing off, so most no one knows, but I'm like a farm boy. So, we would have raging bonfires and we would camp on top of troopers and camp on top of Jeeps or camp in the back of Jeeps or truck beds or what have you, or just right in the middle of the field on a sleeping bag. So I've always loved the outdoors, always loved camping. Kind of lost it a little bit. But then I bought my first big boy purchase was a 2006 Chevy Colorado 5-speed, 4-cylinder, 4x4, put a little camper shell on it, and I would take that thing off-roading all over North Georgia. Sydney, my wife, and I would throw a mattress in the back, throw blankets, and just sleep in the back of that in the middle of some cliff on the side of the mountain. So anyway, we moved to Nashville, and some person ran a stop sign, and I did not have a stop sign. I'm going about 45 miles an hour, and I T-boned this person, total that little sweet little ride. I think it was a fun car. But didn't really know what to buy. I wasn't in the whole overland scene, so I didn't know, if I would have bought a Toyota, I'd probably be like way more popular than I am now. But I ended up buying the Frontier. I knew what I wanted. I knew I wanted 4x4. I didn't have any plans on building it. It was just I've never not had a 4x4 vehicle. I don't want to not have a 4x4 vehicle. So I was like, I want to have 4x4. And it's really funny because I go after work and I'm talking to the sales guy and I'm telling him everything I do. Hey, we like to camp. We like to go hiking. We have dogs. Go mountain biking. Do all this stuff. He's like, so what do you think about a Versa? and I'm like, did you just hear what I said? He said, well, what about a Versa like X or S, whatever? It's like the one with like the hatchback. He's like, it's got a hatchback. It's a little bit more roomy. I said, I wasn't mean, but I really wanted to go get somebody else, please. So I said, no, I want a truck. He said, like a Frontier? I said, yeah, well, sure, yeah. Like, what else do you have? And he's like, yeah, it's Frontier. I'm like, okay, go pull one around. So he pulls that one around, black SV 4x4, access cab, or I guess they call them king cab in the Nissan world. So, it was the best day of my life. Bought this sweet little truck, and then it's like, Googling places, and I hear about the Tennessee Dirt Devil. So it's like, well, let's go down to this place. It looks cool. This was before the Dirt Devil got like crazy. So this would have been 2017, 2018. So this was before the Dirt Devil got to the point where it is now after Instagram and the whole world blew it up. But I would go down there almost every weekend and not see another person. Like, you go down there now, you're seeing 50 people.
Right.
But we'd go down there and we didn't have a map. I just kind of Googled it and then got on my maps. Like, I think if we go this road, I think it might be a dirt road. And then we'd come to a spot, turn left. Next week we'd turn right. And we ended up just finding this whole crazy trail system. Then I finally got the map and I was like, oh, well, we were kind of on the Dirt Devil this whole time. But then it turned into, I need a camper shell because I want to go camping in this truck. And it was a 6-foot bed, so I could sleep in the back of it comfortably. Then it was, wow, I need lift. And back then I was poor. So it was like, I'm going to buy this 1.5-inch spacer lift and it's going to have to work. Well, now my front's too high. Well, I got to buy a spacer for the back of it. But now I need better shocks. Now I need upper control arms. Now I need a bumper. Now I need sliders, all the shit. So ended up just overbuilding that truck like crazy. And then there's some stuff I can't speak about that I did to that truck, which was why we had to get rid of that truck. And got the Titan and enjoyed the Titan a lot until the transmission went out on it. I still enjoy the truck. It's a good truck. But then we got the Xterra. I built that thing up way too much. My wife's like 9 months pregnant. She's like, I cannot get in and out of this vehicle. And the AC wasn't very great in it. So, it's July and it's hot and you're 9 months pregnant. Getting in and out of this vehicle, it shouldn't be lifted the way it is for a pregnant woman. So we ended up getting rid of it and getting the LX 570. And then we were kind of off-roadless for a while. We had our son, and we weren't really sure, what's going to happen. I just started a new job. So we're like, well, we're just kind of going to get out of this world for a little bit. And then I ended up buying a bunch of little RC trucks to kind of get my fix. So I'm out in the backyard running it up the rock wall. And then the RAV4 came about. My brother was selling it. It's got the V8 motor in it. Very rare for the RAV4 to have the V8 motor. But there goes my light, so you can't see it anymore. Perfect timing. Perfect timing. Why couldn't I go first, Davey? Jeez. So bought that $3,500.
Just so everybody knows, Nick was 20 minutes late while the rest of us waited because he was cutting his grass and forgot. So, yeah.
Hey, home ownership, baby. You gotta take care of it before the HOA gets a hold of you.
And it's not a RAV4. We can't see it now, but it's definitely not a RAV4.
Yeah. It's not a RAV4.
Somebody in the comments is going to explode about it. It's a 4Runner.
Yeah, it's basically a Land Cruiser.
Basically a RAV4.
Yeah, pretty much. But then, this thing came about. My brother, his wife, it was her car. Kind of like for them, it was like a fifth or sixth car. They had, everything else you can think of. But I wanted it for like 6 years. So before I ever bought the Frontier, I wanted this. Before I bought the Xterra, I wanted this. And he would always be like, yeah, I'm going to sell it. Oh, I'm not going to sell it. So before I bought the Xterra, I called him. I was like, are you selling the 4Runner or not? Like, if you do not sell the 4Runner, I'm going to buy a car tomorrow. He's like, nah, we're going to hold on to it. All right, cool. So we bought the Xterra. And then finally we had Sawyer, and we just kind of got the itch, and he sent me some videos. He's like, I think I'm going to sell it. And then he kind of backed off. So I got a wild hair at my ass, and I just texted his wife. And I was like, can I buy the 4Runner? And she's
Nice.
like, well, what's it worth, and what will you give me for it? I was like, well, I'll give you $3,500 for it. It's worth probably around $7,000. She's like, yeah, come get it. So before they could change their mind, so Sydney and my son and I were going to drive down there. I was going to drive it home, and I think my son got sick. So they live in Athens, Georgia, so it's about a 5-hour drive. Well, before they could change their mind, I decided I'm just driving down there. I'm going to get a trailer. I'm coming down to pick it up. Like, I don't care. You can't change your mind. I have cash money. Here you go. Sign it over to me. I'm going home with this trailer, or this 4Runner, RAV4. So, yeah, honestly, at the time, if I could have found an Xterra for $3,500, I would have bought an Xterra. If I could have found a Frontier, a Jeep, a Trooper, a Montero, you name it, I didn't give a crap what it was. I just wanted an off-road vehicle that I can go enjoy my hobby again. So luckily it was a Toyota, because now I just don't have to worry about it. Kind of like Davey, he mentioned earlier, he's like, well, like, we can't go to the junkyard and buy stuff. It's because we don't need to.
Well, this. So this is an interesting point. There's obviously, we kind of touched on it a little bit, a price difference between a comparable, feature-wise comparable Xterra and a 4Runner. But I don't know what the capability difference is. Now, we could argue the reliability difference of Toyota and Nissan, but if you purchase the right spec, and that's true with a lot of vehicles, from the showroom floor, so to speak, not with what you've modded on it, but you're getting maybe 80 or 90% of the capability of the Toyota for 60 or 70% of the cost. So there's a value there, and I say that as a Toyota person. I again, strength, reliability is a different thing, but just pure feature set, they're fairly comparable. Now somebody's going to explode and say, well, you have A-Track and traction control, and Nissan doesn't this and that, but that's not the point of this conversation.
Nissan does have that.
To nitpick it.
Yeah. So Nissan does have a similar type of system, ABLS. It's a braking system that works like a locker. So, yeah, I actually do have 2 Xterras for the price that my brother-in-law paid for.
I think we lost his mic.
So I really do have basically truly 2 Xterras for the price of one. Basically, what my brother-in-law paid for his 5th gen 4Runner. I've got my 2010 Xterra and a 2012 Pro 4X, and the 2010 is a base model. When I was doing my research, that was the first one that I got. I was doing my research and I was like, okay, what are common problems? Where did the line cut off of okay, they sorted out their big problems. Big problem we all know is transmission problems, strawberry milkshake of death, issues with the radiator, coolant, and the transmission fluid mixing. So that was a big focus for me, and I found out that they resolved that in late 2009, 2010. So a 2010 Nissan Xterra, the base model, is what I got, and it comes with this ABLS braking system, which is like a
active brake limited slip.
Yeah.
What that stands for.
Yeah, it's like
A-Track
an A-Track
is what we call it in Toyotas. Yep.
Like an A-Track type of system where if you get up on 3 wheels or even 2 wheels, it will shift power to the wheel that's slipping and continue to share that power. And so, I've really pushed that system, and it's really held up well. And I've compared it on other trails with guys running A-Track as well. Matt, we mentioned Nash Dad Off-Road, and some others, compared it as well. And it functions the same, and it's just not as widely known.
Interesting.
Yep. There are some issues though with your wheeling and Matt's wheeling. There's a little difference of drivers, so you can't really make that comparison. Matt is wonderful, but he is very conservative. Where I've seen Jordan wheel, and I don't see a lot of conservativity there.
No.
It's calculated risk,
it's not a.
I'd put you behind any car, Jordan. You'd make it up just about anything.
Exactly.
I mean, Davey, to your point, if you take the 2 platforms and even take a Pro 4X and a TRD Pro, and you both got rear lockers, roughly the same amount of ground clearance and travel in the suspension, but really the only kind of limiting factor, in my opinion, like Nick said, is the driver in that point. I mean, you can really point and shoot both those vehicles, in my opinion, in pretty much in similar scenarios, and you're probably going to get the same outcome. I think the biggest thing from my point of view I see that's different is, they're both body on frame trucks, but the Toyota bodies, they sit higher. It looks like the body itself has more clearance off the ground than, say, the Xterras, Pathfinder Frontiers. It looks like they were designed more for the wheeling aspect, because probably they were. But to me, I don't see that being a limiting factor too much in the typical kind of overlandy, mild off-road setup.
Yeah, was the Frontier sold outside of the U.S. Originally, or was that just a U.S. truck?
They're all over the world.
They're all over.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
all over. The Navara.
The Navara or the D40, D41s. I mean, they kind of use that in the States too, but a lot of the parts are plug and play. But I've noticed a lot of the front ends, and I don't remember off the top of my head the year, make, and models of them, but some of the body styles, especially in the front, are just a little bit different. You'll notice they're a little more tucked up. But I was going to mention like on the suspension lift, like you put an Xterra and a Forerunner, even a Tacoma and a Frontier, which I've noticed probably more just having a Frontier myself. Like I mean, yeah, you could look at it bone stock across the board, but from a Nissan owner, a 2-inch lift on a Tacoma looks like a 6-inch lift. Like the difference is so drastic, and it's really minimal at the same time. But like a 2-inch lift on a Frontier or an Xterra is like that looks like it just rolled off the lot factory.
It's all in that body placement.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's what leads a lot of guys to go Titan swap or even just throw a rough country 6-inch drop bracket on just to get the height. Not always looking at the performance, more so just trying to get the clearance, to get over stuff. So
the lifted look,
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah, because we've had this conversation on the show before, but the trend nowadays, people have realized the benefit of bringing these vehicles back down. We want maximum travel, but that low center of gravity. So it's a double-edged sword.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, for sure.
All right, so you guys have said it. You've all mentioned it at one time or another. This Titan swap. So for somebody that's listening, that's like, what the heck are they talking about? Who wants to tackle defining the options of a Titan swap?
I'll jump into it. So when you have like a Frontier, Xterra, Pathfinder, and you want to get, be wider front end. It's like a mid travel. So what
it's like a mid to long travel, yeah.
Yeah. So you take the Frontier, Xterra, Pathfinder, and you go trade it in for a Nissan Titan, and that is the ultimate Titan swap.
Sounds like you're speaking from experience there.
I'll let Chase jump into that one. He's the engineer.
Chase knows all the specs. Yeah.
So in my opinion, that's the ultimate Titan swap. If you need a full size V8 truck, you're far cheaper and better off to do it that way. There's really two realms of Titan swap. There's suspension Titan swap, and then some people refer to the V8 swap as a Titan swap because it uses the same 5.6 out of the Titan. So if you go the engine route, there's a company in Ohio that makes a plug-and-play harness for the Xterras Frontiers that basically allows you to adapt the 5.6 into the truck, because whenever Nissan designed these platforms, the motor mounts are the same for the 5.6 and the 4.0. The transmission's basically the same. They both share the same transfer case. So it's essentially a drop-in V8 swap with a custom harness and a few other doodads you got to tighten up. So that's the go for it. What?
Is there a certain year engine 5.6?
I think they keep them. It's like 16 and down, maybe 15 and below. When they went to flex fuel, I don't think they'd like to mess with that too much. But technically, if you had all the VCMs talking and the ECM and everything, I think it would probably work. But that's a good question. But that's kind of the engine side, the way I look at it. And then the more common is the suspension. So just like how the motor fits in these trucks between the Armada Titan and the Frontier Xterra Pathfinder, the suspension is also pretty much the same. So all the mounting points on the frame and the front end, they're all the same points on the frame. It's just the actual control arms themselves are, classified by length. So if you hop on Rock Auto, go ahead.
I was going to say, so it's upper and lower control arms and CV shafts and tie rods.
Yeah.
Rods,
you hit the nail on the head. And then coilovers, of course, is what that leads into. But you can hop on Rock Auto and go into the economy section and buy upper, lower tie rods, some CV axles, and then you're basically set, component wise. You got to get some coilovers and figure out the shocks. But I'd say roughly under $1,200, you can have the entire front end as a Nissan Titan, which nets you 3 inches per side of width, which technically it moves the motion ratio of the front suspension. So it allows you to go higher in lift because you're going wider without cranking your coilovers up so high that you lose pretty much all your down travel. So that helps in obviously wheeling scenarios. But in my opinion, this Frontier back here I'm rebuilding, it's just going to be a kind of daily driver type thing. and the whole front end's shot. So if I'm going to buy all those parts I just mentioned for a Frontier, why not buy it for a Titan? Same price, get added track width. It'll ride a little better with the larger shock in there. And it's a pretty cool swap. So, of course, you can take it from budget Rock Auto, even Junkyard parts, all the way up to, Dirt King has made upper and lowers. CJD Fabrication makes a lot of components for our stuff. So you can go, full Heim race kit in the front end, anything from Bilstein 5100 with some stacked spacers on top to get the length, all the way to King shocks if you really wanted, 3.0 bypasses in the front. So there's a lot of variety you can do to get that extra travel, almost like Nick said, kind of a mid-travel setup that works really good and also handles really good.
Yeah, it's same concept as with the 200s with my truck on the Tundra swap. So we take Tundra uppers and lowers and Tundra CVs to gain that same width. But in the Toyota world, there's nothing on the Tacoma market, or 4Runner market comparable that you can go buy and kind of get I call it a poor boy mid-travel kit, because if you're getting upper and lower control arms and a set of axles for $1,200, granted they're Rock Auto, which could be good, could be bad, depends. We all know,
right?
But yeah, that's hard to beat. So you've bought a truck at a lower premium to start with, and now you've $1,200 worth of parts and a Saturday in the driveway, and you've got a mid-travel kit on the front.
Right.
Well, you've got to get coilovers, but still.
Yeah. You can even take it a step further too and do like a full spindle swap. So obviously the tapered ball joints on the control arms are the same between the platforms, but I'm spindle swap with an Armada with the towing package. So I've got almost a 14-inch rotor for braking, which is excellent on this truck with 35s and with the weight of the truck. The downside is, you lose pretty much all clearance on a 17-inch wheel. If you have anything, you're barely getting this paper between there. So it's not the best for off-roading, but I just went up to 18s, got some bead locks, called it a day. But likewise in the rear for the Titan, for the Frontier and the Xterras, you can take the Titan M226 Dana 44, which is essentially the same axle that's in the Frontier and the Xterra on the Pro 4X versions. You can swap that in the rear, and then what that gives you is the ability to not run spacers in the rear to match the added width in the front. And also you get the 6-on-5.5 lug pattern. So if you swap spindles in the front like I did to actually have wheel options, because it is a 6-on-4.5 from the factory, now you have a full 6-on-5.5 front and rear, and all you had to do was just buzz off the hangers on the axle, weld you a different perch, and you're good to go.
That's actually my current headache right now. So in the barn, I have staged a set of 537s that I bought off Facebook Marketplace. It's just a friend that popped up, and I said, "Oh yeah, let me grab those." The hang up for me is that they're 1350 wide, and so with that, and they're 17-inch wheels, and comes stock with 16-inch wheels. So already that's why they're sitting in the barn. But also that 1350 means that I need to run a really wide wheel, and I'm super limited by that 6-on-4.5 bolt pattern. So that's something that I've been just going back and forth on. And there's really like maybe 2 options that I can come up with, like ATI out of Australia, maybe a KMC. So I'm not sure exactly what I'll do there, because I've got the Xterra Pro 4X axle with 3-inch wheel spacers on each side to match the track width. So
3-inch spacers on each side now?
On each side, that's correct. Yeah, to match the track width up front.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, I'm running 2 inches in the rear. Yeah, I had 3, and I was like, that's just too much for me, and I went down to 2. I don't know if it makes a difference, but
I mean, very common thing to do.
Yeah, and if you don't, I mean, if you like the pre-runner bully dog look, then it's pretty drastic, especially depending on what wheel setup you have. If you're into like the offsets and how you want to set that up, positive or negative. I think I'm running a plus 10 millimeter offset. So mine, I've got 3 inches wide in the front on each side, and the rear's 2 inches. But if you just look down at it real fast, you'd probably never really know a difference.
Yeah, a real common thing to do is, I was on this setup for a while, is, hit up Bora Industries and have them make you a 6-on-4.5 to 6-on-5.5 adapter that's also in the width you need. Now you've checked off all your boxes, but you're still, if you're not Titan swapped in the front, that works out great. But if you are, now you've just added another at least 1 3/4 to your front track width, and you've got half your tire hanging out, which some people like, but old Chase like that look. But now out there using the truck like I want to, it's definitely, the further I can get that wheel under the fender, I like.
Yeah, because you start running into clearancing issues, right? Like if you turn it full lock, you are absolutely crunching, at least for us, the back of that front wheel well, and you just got to trim it, or you've got to take. You can kind of see on my truck, like there's about a 1.5 inch body bend right there at the fender, at least for the Frontier and the front and back. And a lot of guys that go with 35s or higher end up trimming that all the way back. It's great for clearancing, but you start running into like pinch welds and, body Bondo welds and stuff up in there.
Well, that's an interesting point, though, because you don't have a body mount to relocate.
That is true, though. Yeah.
Really, you're trimming a little piece of sheet metal on the fender. You're just smashing back your pinch weld to get 35s, 37s. The stuff that Donnie's doing, Polar Terra. That's pretty amazing. Where on a Toyota, from what I've seen, if I'm I don't know,
285, 75, you're rubbing.
I don't know where the numbers are, but I'm seeing body mount relocation, and it seems to me like a fair amount of tubbing if you get up to 37s and larger.
You're talking like full custom fabrication that, if you're not comfortable doing at home, then it's going to start adding up really quickly just to get a 33, 34 inch plus tire on that car, even with the 2-3 inch lift, because you got a lot of clearance, but you run into clearance issues from like the body and the frame itself versus the actual height of the car, which for the most part, the Frontier, Xterra, even the Pathfinder doesn't really have to worry about. We probably hit the pinch weld before, we hit even anything on the body of the frame, which is pretty easy to knock back and clearance and paint, etc. I was going to mention one more thing on Chase. You mentioned the Titan swap. I don't know if we mentioned it before, but the front differential too, right?
Good point.
So you mentioned all the bolts. So there's kind of, I think of it 2 and 3 ways. A lot of guys will do suspension, and then they'll maybe swap the front differential out, and then, the ultimate goal might be that V8, right? But the front differential is the M205, which is in the Titan, the Armadas, and then in the Frontiers, Xterras, Pathfinders, it's the R180. And I don't have the ring gear specs. Chase, you might know more off the top of your head, but that M205 is a little beefier, right? So you hear of guys grenading R180 front diff slot, especially Titan swap. I know Matt Bruick, and he drives a little on the heavier side, but he's grenaded 1 or 2. But the advantage to M205 is on the diff itself, the flanges are bolt on. So if you're out on the trail and you somehow snap a CV, instead of trying to worry about the splines and your differential being chewed up or marred, you're only worried about one side at the spindle. So you can unbolt, I think it's 6 bolts that bolt the CV to the differential. And it's a pretty easy swap, and you get a little bit more robustness from doing that. There's more gear options available. They're easier to work on. A lot of guys that end up re-gearing front and rear will most oftentimes swap to that M205 front differential. But you don't have to be tight. You don't have to be tight swap to do it either. Yeah.
Are those so you don't have to be Titan swap to put the front diff
technically in. No, you don't. You can, I think it's a QX80 axle, is that right? Or a V8 Pathfinder. Front
V8
CV
Pathfinder.
it's just a V8 Pathfinder. So the Titan axle is obviously wider, right? But the V8 Pathfinder has all the bulk and and the meatiness in it that it has the M205 already. And so it's a shorter shaft. I don't remember all the measurements, but you can bolt that in without having to cut it or get a custom axle shaft. You don't have to go like RCVs or anything. You can simply just find a V8 Pathfinder axle, if you've got that M205 swap. And like Chase said, all the body mounts, all the hardware is the same. Like there's no welding, custom fabrication, which is a huge benefit, I think, to a lot of guys getting a, quote unquote cheaper vehicle, but able to beef it up and hang with some of the Toyota guys out there.
You're going to put me out of work if you keep buying Nissans.
I got other projects for you, Nick. Don't worry.
Are those diffs pretty readily available?
Yeah,
available.
So they're in basically every Titan and Armada. So there's a couple years, 08 and above is, they call it the 3 rib. So there's 3 ribs on the casting because the 05 or technically 04 to 07s had 2 ribs and they were a little bit slimmer on the casting. So they were more known to break. They also have 2 spider gears internally versus 4. So they would also shear at the spider gears if you didn't crack a housing. So the 3 rib was kind of the 08 and up, like Ethan said, Titan, Armada, and then also the QX56 in some year models. And I mean, you can go, if you're in the Nashville area, to LKQ, pick your part, or Express Pull and Save, and there is typically always at least one vehicle there that has an M205 in it. I see some of the prices online. People are, in the Facebook groups, I got one for $650 the other day, such a great deal, and I'm like, throwing up in my mouth, because I can go pull one for $60 at Express Pull and Save. And if you got a 19 millimeter socket, some 14 millimeter rich for the drive shaft, and then just a couple hours of your time, you can easily pull one at the junkyard and save a crap load of money.
Hey, you're a different breed, though. You're a different breed.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I'm single income, no kids. So yeah, I guess
that's right.
If you're that
a little more time,
go pull one.
Yeah.
Talking about regearing, though, I got the 408s, basically a 410, the gears front and rear, and the rebuild kit for $850. I think I got it for maybe $800. I don't know what it was. I got it on a like a Black Friday deal or whatever. They're $850 right now for front and rear. I thought that was a great deal to get all.
Don't hate me, but I got mine even cheaper. There was another sale going on, All Dogs Off Road. They brought their own 408s out, which is good because there's 1 or 2 other companies that are kind of phasing out that had also offered really good, I think 410s or 411s, which, at the end of the day is basically the same thing as a 408. There's not too much difference in it. And I think I might have been under 500 in the ring and pinion and the master rebuild kits with those at the time.
For the longest time, the options were like an ARB or something that's like, it's not very common to regear to a deeper set, and to have that option now is amazing. So I love that.
Well, let's talk about
giving stuff away.
So the obviously from an OEM parts, junkyard parts perspective, I mean, we've heard there's plenty of availability out there, but I'm thinking this may be the flip side on the aftermarket. I mean, if you want something for a Tacoma or a 4Runner, take your pick. There's 1,000 different options. But what does the aftermarket look like? And I know it's changed just in the last few years, but what does it look like in the Nissan world?
It was shit when I was dealing with
it. Still is, but
depends on what you're talking about, I guess.
There was definitely one of the bigger parts, like you mentioned, Davey, compared to Toyota. Like, I feel like any company that sells anything off-road has something for your Toyota. But there was, like somebody just said, Niztec was one of the bigger ones back in the day that, unfortunately, we've lost them, just like we've lost Jordan. We lost them. We've kind of sort of lost Steven Lutz with Rugged Rocks, who was kind of the pioneer in the Nissan aftermarket world. He did a lot of, he was a wheeler himself, did a lot of kind of middleman with some other companies, hey, let's get a group buy going on this. And he really pioneered a lot for our platform and other Nissan platforms. But then you got Z1, you've got All Dogs, and I'm sure there's a couple others, Shadow Wolf, that makes the straight axle swaps. But there is nothing compared to what the Toyota group has. And of course, there's no like custom mounted Molly panel for my Starbucks coffee, like the Tacoma guys probably could buy. But just as far as the actual like suspension goes, there are very limited options. But it seems like, and I don't know if just due to the way car prices are nowadays, it's definitely has picked up in the last 3 to 5 years. I see a lot more options for these trucks. Maybe COVID had something to do with that, and just the overlandy scene. All the broke wannabes that can't afford the 4Runners are buying the Nissans. So that's kind of driving the market up a little bit to get us some more availability.
Yeah, and part of it too, a lot of them are like smaller mom and pop shops too. So there's, unfortunately, a little bit more risk with those versus, I mean, Hefty Fab. They obviously make stuff for Nissan too, but there's all kinds of other companies obviously make Toyota parts that, if something happens like a pandemic, they're probably going to be okay. But there's a couple other companies like Desert Runner Off Road. I think they make pretty high quality front and rear bumpers, sliders. I think they got on the verge of closing their doors a couple years ago.
Yeah.
I could be wrong, but they were, it was tough for a lot of these companies that are a lot smaller. But one of my favorites, obviously ARB makes them, but I think the downside when you get into it is, at least if you don't have a 3rd gen Frontier like the D41s, then any new products just aren't coming out. I've hit ARB up so many times just out of curiosity of, hey, are y'all going to come out? They're bringing new bumpers out for even older Tacomas, older Tundras, which look really sharp. They're a little less bulky, a little more high and tight. And they're like, no, we don't have any plans to do that. So yeah, these trucks are everywhere, but no one's really interested from what I've seen in bringing out new products for the most part. Especially some of the bigger companies out there that support a lot of other brands. They're bringing out newer cars, newer models.
Yeah, it's hard
to really
invest
touches
that
on
money,
your point.
and it's hard to invest that money into, maybe selling 6 bumpers or 6 Molly panels for my Starbucks coffee cup. There are a lot of small guys that sell these little niche items for the Nissans, but it's like it's hard to sustain a business when Jordan, Chase, and Ethan are the only ones buying from them, and Donnie, I guess.
100%, yeah.
Yeah, Donnie's out there too.
That's kind of why they become in that forgotten stepchild, like Davey's mentioned here on this list, is because a lot of these guys too. All 4 of us, we wrench on our own stuff, all 5 of us, and a lot of people don't, and that's totally fine. You can be in this industry and get outside and enjoy things without ever really having to pick up a wrench if you don't want to. But if you try to find these bolt-on mods and all these aftermarket doodads you want, you're probably not going to find a lot of that for the Frontier that is 100% bolt-on ready to go, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think what you're saying, Chase, is it's going to force guys to learn a little bit more and turn some wrenches and do some more DIY because, and depending on where you live, in most major cities now, there's an off-road shop that is the Toyota shop in the area, right? You got a 4Runner, you go over here, these guys are going to bolt your kit on, and that's that. There's very few shops in the country that are, a quote Nissan shop.
Right. Exactly.
Yep.
So
I mean that, or they're all Jeep shops too, right? It's like Music City 4x4. A couple of these others that I've seen. I'm sure they'll work on it, but they might charge you a little bit more. I got a quote from. It used to be 4x4 Parts down there off Nolensville. I forget what their name is now.
Now it's Total Off Road. Yeah.
Yeah, I went down there. I was like, look, guys, I got brand new inbox, reputable, gear sets, and the price I got, I wanted to laugh. I was like, that is absolutely insane. Like, I know it takes time. I know it's a lot of work to get gears installed, but it was like almost $5,000 just for the install. Like, yeah, that's pretty much like the price of no, we're not going to touch it. And I was like, yep, all right. I'm going somewhere else.
I got
tell you they don't want to do it at that point.
Yeah. I got similar quotes from a Jeep shop on regearing, just because the moment I mentioned third member, I'll bring it into my trunk. They're like, and they shot me this high number, which is what pushed me to regear myself and learn it, which I'm glad I did. But it's funny, I'm going to make a statement, and this might hurt some people's feelings, but if you want to actually wheel, go buy an XJ, go buy a TJ, some type of Jeep. If you want to get into this very cheaply, easily, I want to click add to cart and have a super great wheeler, I think you got to get a Jeep if you don't want to have the headaches of what we go through on a daily basis, in my opinion, because I see a lot of XJs that are kind of bone stock on like 33s that could outwheel me every day of the week. But I get that's not everybody's cup of tea, but when everybody's like, man, I love that truck, I want to get something to go off road, I honestly like tell them, don't buy one of these. Don't. Like if you truly want to have an enjoyable experience and not go broke, buy a Jeep, get some type of older Jeep that you don't mind to beat up off a tree, and then you could sell it and still probably make a profit on it.
Go buy a third.
That might hurt some feelings, but yeah.
This is definitely a niche, and for me that kind of makes it special too, because a lot of times when I'm, at the top of Engineer Pass, I had a great conversation one time bumping up, to the top of the Colmont Mountain. I'll have somebody stops by and it's like, wow, you're actually wheeling this. I had an Xterra when I was a kid or something silly. A long time ago, I had an Xterra. I can't believe somebody is actually doing this stuff. And an Xterra.
That's what makes it
special.
Hands down worth owning it.
Very unique.
Moments like that for sure. But
yeah, it's very unique. It's different from, there's 24 Jeeps and, 8 4Runners and 1 built Xterra, whatever. We're used to riding like that.
And you're keeping up with them, right? Like that's the cool part too. I think for the most part we can keep up with, a lot of this driver too, right? But if you can put this thing on a line, 9 times out of 10, they're going to hit it and they're going to go, which has always been super fun.
I can respect that. The Lexus badge gets a similar response from people on the trail. So,
like, wait,
and
why do you have
not
that
to hijack it, not to hijack it, Davey, but I think the beginning of this year, the STLCA trip that I went on,
yes,
in
the
January.
New Year's ride, yeah,
the New Year's ride. Davey hit me up, said, "Oh, hey, you can go if you want to," and I decided to go with the group that went to the Cove. And he's like, just forewarning, it's like all Land Cruisers, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's fine. And I knew 0 people, so I'm rolling up in this, glamorous looking vehicle through their eyes. And the first thing they say, like, hey, you can get some body damage on this trip. And I'm like, I already got a crushed fender. I'm cool with that. But it's just that look of like, is this person really going to come out here? And then we're over there doing the same trail, and the excitement that they, had for that at the same time was kind of cool, because they're used to seeing their rig every day, just like we are. And it was like funny. It was like I was teaching my son, something about a car for the first time as they watched me change out the CV axle that I broke. But it was pretty cool to see like that, just like wow moment from some real wheelers pulling up in this Nissan. It was pretty cool.
Yeah.
My Frontier got me out of the speeding ticket one time down in Franklin, Tennessee. It was a 35. I was going 55. I really didn't realize it. And sure enough, Williamson County pulls up, turns around, does a complete U-turn in the road, pulls me over. Hey, got you for speeding. I said, yeah, I didn't realize the speed changed. He said, man, you off-road this thing? It was super muddy. Had my MTRs on it. Like, yeah, man, I got a Jeep too. I'm just gonna give you a warning today. Go have fun. Hell yeah! So, it's a cool experience.
Yeah. Credit to the Nissan.
Yeah.
He probably felt bad for me. This guy can't afford a ticket. What's he doing here? Yeah. All right. So, hey, one thing I want to touch on is we've talked about the different aftermarket and swapping OEM parts and what's available. And I know none of you guys have gone this route yet. But what I'm seeing more and more of online are these solid axle swapped Frontiers and Xterras especially. And so there's definitely, I know, some support in the aftermarket for kits and spring purchase and all these things to make that happen now. Chase, I have a feeling you might have looked into that before. What can you tell us about that?
I mean, if money was no object, obviously, for sure. The goal for my rig was kind of more like fairly capable camp setup type rig. I'd like to build a true like 1-ton swap beater truck in the future. And I never really wanted the Pathfinder to be that, just because it's got curtain airbags and it's got a lot of these safety feature stuff that I'd have to bypass. If the wheel sensor's not hooked up, I probably can't go in 4-low, that kind of stuff. So that really deterred me, even doing my rear axle swap, going to my 3-link. I was like, is this going to work? And talk to the computer, which it does. But seeing the Shadow Wolf kit, I think it's a great kit. It's almost set up as to be like a bolt-in type setup. But it's still, it's like, I think high $3,000, close to $4,000 just for all the bracketry, arms. And that's still like, you got to source your axle after that.
I was going to say, so that's more than the axle, because the Dana 44s are readily available, but yeah.
Yeah. And I think it's set up to use an 05 plus Super Duty axle, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. So, or at least it's an option, but then you got to do gears. You've got to do, if you buy just a naked axle, you've got $600-800 just in hubs and brakes and everything. So it definitely is pricey. Shafts. Drive shaft. That's another big one. It's my truck will probably see it one day in the future, because that's the only last thing to do other than a V8 swap. But to me, I would rather take the approach of hit up Barnes full drive and buy my own type of bracketry and then kind of custom fab it from there. So I think you can do it on different budgets, but to see a company like Shadow Wolf actually supporting something like that is beyond incredible, in my opinion.
I like how you started that with, that's not what this truck is getting built for. and then you said, my truck will probably end up there in the future.
Yeah, probably so. But before it ends up on the blocks in my backyard, I hope there will be a straight axle under it first. But
honestly, I see my build going more 3-link in the rear and staying independent in the front. I think that probably makes more sense for me right now with the type of adventure. And I'm not doing any buggy trails, nothing super crazy. It's still built for long distance road trips to get me way out west, way out into the mountains. And then I do some intense wheeling out there, and then I drive it all the way back. So 3-link is probably the direction I'll go. Probably not solid axle swap the front, and probably prioritize the V8 swap in the future, because my Xterra is at 235,000 miles right now, and it's still running great, but definitely looking at what's next, probably going to be a V8 swap. I would prioritize that over a solid axle in the front.
And
what mileage? At what mileage do you think like your lifespan is out of the VQ?
I think it's going to be 300. I mean, it's great. I haven't swapped the radiator. I shouldn't have said that. I should have swapped it at this point. I haven't done. I've never had an issue with timing chain guides. That's an issue that guys have. Wow. Staying up with maintenance, it still pulls strong. It's excellent. I could easily see it making 300K. Yeah.
Well, in my opinion, go ahead, Davey.
Well, I was just going to ask about kind of the maintenance and if it requires a more proactive approach. Maybe, I mean, I kind of started this by talking about Toyota's reliability, and there's this you can't. But the running joke is you can just kind of neglect one, and it'll just take care of itself. What is it on the Nissan side of thing? Are there things you've got to be proactive about with the maintenance, or it's going to bite you?
On these 4.0s, I think you have some like basic just sensor BS that, the sensors going out, which you'll probably get on any vehicle, but really the Toyota has their timing belts on the million-mile motor that people do proactively. And to me, this is the same thing just with chains. It's fairly involved, but every 120-ish thousand miles, you should be doing a timing chain, which some people might be shocked about. But to me, I look at it as it's just preventative maintenance, just like people don't swap their tie rods out every 65,000 miles, like I'm sure the manufacturer says to. But I definitely think you could hop in either one, in my opinion. start it up and just drive it until the wheels fall off. And the Toyota may be running a little healthier by that time potentially, but I think you could neglect each one just as hard. But if you took care of both of them, I think they would still make it to the finish line at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I mean, I probably got the
crankshaft
youngest one.
sensor,
Yeah, I was thinking the crankshaft
because those will leave you.
sensor.
Those will leave you stranded.
Yeah.
And then the heater.
How do you know
core
about that,
inlet
Jordan?
and outlet? Yeah, right. The heater core inlet and outlet is brittle
Yeah.
plastic. It was upgraded down the line, but it goes out, it'll leave you stranded unless you know to plug it straight into the firewall. Those are a few off the top of my head for whatever reason.
Yeah, I mean, I just
will
crossed
leave you
over 100,000 maybe a month or two ago, so there's some things that I need to start looking at doing, which I'm not excited about. The timing chain is one of those. I'm like, do I do it myself? Do I not do it myself? But if I can get another vehicle, that would be nice to just leave this thing in the garage and not have to worry about it and just work on it on my own time, kind of like Chase does over there.
I think that's the stereotype too of, like Toyota reliability and Nissan not being reliable too. But the real thing is that people who buy Nissans are cheap, just to be honest. So
They don't take care of them.
at a certain point, you can ignore a Toyota and it'll keep going. You can ignore a Nissan and get in a pinch, and if you don't know about cars, you don't know how to turn wrenches or whatever, you might get out of this vehicle and get to a Honda Civic, whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Where it's a different tax bracket, maybe is another way to say it.
So I wrote this down as one of my talking points because as a I know a lot of non-car people, and I've heard that stereotype as, well, Nissan isn't reliable. And I think to a lot of people, from that 2012 to 2018 range with their CVT issues and their small cars, that's one thing that everybody knows somebody that had a Versa Sentra Altima that had some type of issue, and it's that piece of crap Nissan and my Corolla's fine. Even though Corolla had a very similar CVT, different manufacturer, better experience, I think that overall CVT issue just kind of tarnished the Nissan name to non-car people. So if now their son wants to buy a Frontier, it's, oh no, those Nissans are always bad, even though they've been great trucks, totally different platform. I think that's honestly hurt their name a little bit because they were kind of, I was born in the 90s, so I can't speak too much, but they were fairly neck and neck. The pickup trucks, it was either you had the Toyota, had a little bit more money, or you had the hard body. You didn't have as much money, but they were still really great performers until that kind of CVT range hit.
Yeah. I think about the engines too. I've had people say, "Oh, that thing's old as dirt." I'm like, one, I think there's something to be said about the longevity of an engine being in a truck or a car, right? Like, it's there, it works. Like the 4Runner. I mean, before they came out with the new engines, like that 5th gen, that's had the same engine for just as long as the Frontier has. So one could argue that, I mean, all things aside, if you can keep up with maintenance, you might just have a better engine or a very comparable engine that might piss some people off to what a Toyota is, if you know what you're doing, right? If you don't know what you're doing, like Chase said, it's like, Nissan, I'm going to get a 4Runner and I'm never going to think about it again until they run into some problem because they neglected something for a little too long.
Guys, what about the overseas market? We mentioned that a little bit earlier, but if you've watched any type of YouTube of off-road four-wheel drive internationally, especially the Australian market, they've got the patrols over there, the Y62s, the old GQ patrols, and I mean these are rigs that are getting beat on, and those. If the Land Cruiser guys are honest, they're jealous of those patrol axles because you talk about beef. I mean, they're beefy.
Oh yeah.
Is there any parts interchangeability with these later model ones with the international market? Not much.
The only thing I know is that I would sell everything in this garage just to have one of them. That's all I know.
Oh yeah. 100%.
That's all I know about them.
Oh yeah. I mean, so when they brought the patrol over, to the US was in 2017. So you'd had the QX56, the QX80, I think, they changed it up to the QX80, which was more the luxury side. But the Armada, for the longest time, still shared a lot of the same drive, like engine and all that, is overseas. But the body style in 2017 is when they started matching what we would know as the Y62 Patrol overseas. So we never got the solid axle version of the GU Patrol, or like the the truck version. I forget what they call them over there. There's so many different names.
The Navarro.
Yeah, the Navarro, or they also made like a Ute base with a little flat tray on the back, where they built them over there themselves, right? They cut the back of a Armada off in the States, basically what we call them, and then they'd put a tray on the back of it. The four-wheel drive 24/7 guys did that, and it looks bad. Like, yeah, it's a lot of work, but it's pretty slick if you're looking for like the ultimate tour. So yeah, we picked up a 2017 Armada a few months ago and have loved every bit of it. So, there's a little bit of risk when you do that, because that was the first year where you got that transmission and drivetrain from the older Armadas, which is a little more rugged look than the newer body styles. The newer body styles are a little more luxury, I guess is probably a good way to put it. But they share a lot of parts. I've got the 2017. It's got a Australian-based company bumper on it, roof rack, and it's all bolt-on, right? So there's a couple small things that might be different here or there depending on the trim model, because we got sensors, like parking sensors front and rear. We've got sonar, adaptive cruise control, which sometimes they accommodate for, sometimes they don't, because overseas they don't give a crap. They take those things out and they will, and they're not looking for the creature comforts. So those are, when you're talking like aftermarket parts, I think some of the technology, depending on the year, make, and model, is whether it's adapted or not. I think they call them like Series 5. I've done a lot of reading lately, but it's like there's a Series 2, 3, 4, which is like the Y62s over there. And the 2021 and up Armada in the States, where they got a newer front end body style. From what I've seen, is when they started incorporating a lot of the US accessories or the parking sensors, radar into their bumpers. Previous generations, it's a hit or miss sometimes. But yeah, as far as the drivetrains and solid axles, we don't have solid axles. Those Armadas are all the QX56s, the QX80s, the newer versions are all independent front and rear. So it makes it a little difficult to lift. But I've seen guys stuff 35s in there with like a 1 or 2 inch lift, which is pretty slick.
And I'm really hoping that as we get further in the future, we're going to start seeing more of those GUs pop up over here from people importing them. Hopefully out on the trails. I know there's maybe 1 or 2 that frequent Windrock, because I saw one in the parking lot and about had a heart attack. I was like, there's no way I'm seeing the overseas XJ. There's no way that's here, but that'd be pretty cool if we see more of that start popping up in the area.
It was like a mid-90s Y61.
XJ.
Is that what you're talking about? It was some folks in Murfreesboro that owned that. I think they imported
that the
somebody.
Hijinks?
That's right.
Hijinks has one too, but there was one that's like being truly wheeled at Windrock that was. I mean,
a different one.
It had definitely seen some better days, but
who was it? Was it that guy Richards?
I have
the Australian. Did it have like wrap on it or anything?
It was so covered in mud in the parking lot. I couldn't tell you anything about it other than
there's a dude that has one. It's actually it's a 2-door with an LS in it. He's up there in Springfield. He actually has like 3 or 4 different patrols. He's come to the toy drive many times in different patrols.
Well, all right. So I see Ethan's pulling pictures up here to show off.
I'm just messing with this new. No, this is what I was talking about. So
hang on, let me switch over.
Oh gosh, in the States, from getting one. So I'm not going to solid axle. That's not the plan, but I hope to do it before I die, kind of deal. I got a little bit of pushback from some folks on getting one of these, because there is the transmission issues, which a lot of these thankfully didn't have, even though the 2017 was the first year of the new transmission in this vehicle. Thankfully, there wasn't a lot of issues, but there was something with the cylinder, the 7th cylinder in the V8 here. would get scored or like scarred. So you'd have all kinds of misfires and you'd basically toast your engine. I played a little bit of a gamble with this one. This one had 165,000 miles on it when we bought it. Bought it out of state too, which is crazy. Thankfully, they had a really good return. Like, we'll pay to ship it back. So I was like, where's the papers? Because I'm signing that one. Being a Nissan guy, I still questioned it a little bit. You know, you kind of have to. But all that to say, we were looking for like a family vehicle, right? Something I can drive every day. We've got a little girl. Hope to grow the family again another time, but we needed more space. I took the back seats out of the Frontier, built a platform, put the 40% split back in for the car seat, and it just wasn't working. And my wife's got a smaller car, so. But when you think of the patrol in the States, I feel like this is what most people think of. They don't always think of the solid axle, units overseas like the GUs and the Y60s and ones that are out there wheeling and dealing. They think of more of this because, if you go overseas and get in a patrol, you're most likely getting in one of these, right? The guys over in Dubai and Abu Dhabi, been over there once with school a long time ago. We went and ripped around in some dunes, and there was 3 or 4 of these out there, bone stock, street tires, stock air filters, no nothing, absolutely ripping out in the dunes. And they kept up, and we're out wheeling side by side. It's like, it is insane what these guys put these things through. So that's kind of where I got inspiration from it. But yeah, that's
those are the ones you
right
don't want to buy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you want to
buy one.
You want to let them have fun and go buy, the one that old grandma over here has been driving for the past 10 years and has only seen the streets, right? Thankfully, this one was well taken care of, and we haven't had any issues, knock on wood. I'm sure I'll have to get a new transmission tomorrow because of that, but, for now, we'll see.
I hope not. For your sake. We were going to buy an Armada because I was so in love with Nissans. And then my Titan transmission went out, and we just did not want to take a risk on another Nissan. I don't blame you. Putting that kind of money into it. We're like, you know what? We're just going to go buy this. We actually went to look at a 4Runner, a 5th gen 4Runner, and the LX was parked right next to it. My wife said, "Well, what's that?" And I was like, "Oh, you don't want that. It's too big. Remember, it's way too big for you." She got in it, loved it. We did have a little bit of an issue with it last summer. We did have to rip the front end of the motor apart and put in new timing chains and timing tensioners at 150,000 miles. But while we were in there, we had everything. I say we, like I was in there doing any of the work. I did not have the skill set to do that work, so we hired an outside source to do all the work for us, and he did all the little knick-knack stuff with that 5.7 that needs to be done, the valley gasket, the cam something or others. But the big thing was the rattling timing chain was, my wife couldn't deal with it, just so we had that replaced and fixed.
So what you're saying is your Toyota did require maintenance. It's news to me.
It was kind of like you replacing your whole engine. It's like preventative maintenance.
I probably spent the same on the engine as you did the timing guys. So.
Fair.
Probably, but you know what? That engine's going to give you 30,000, where this one will give me another 200,000.
I hope not.
In my case, I hope it does.
Well, Nick, you said earlier that you were going to spend $3,500 and you were going to buy something that you could get out and wheel and adventure and camp and do what you wanted to do with.
Yep.
And I think at the end of the day, that's the goal of all of this for most of us, is the enjoyment that you get out of the whole process. Building, breaking, camping, repeating, it all kind of runs together. As we wrap up here, does anybody have any big trips planned or maybe on the horizon for their Nissans?
That'd be
we'll probably just be
adventure.
hitting the local Windrock and Coalmonts at some point throughout the year. But with how life is going for me at the moment, it's going to be a minute before I can do some real hardcore wheeling again. But just probably some local Windrock trips. I mean, I'm always down for going and checking out some easy stuff and driving back home without possible cause, of breakage. But I'm also always down for a good time too. So a little peer
Chase,
pressure.
when are y'all getting married?
Probably in like 2032 or something like that. It'll probably be next year. So we're trying to settle down and get a house and move and all that stuff. I'm sure at some point in the future. So
yeah,
life will hit me pretty hard.
Yeah,
but sometime next year probably.
I was gonna say my next couple trips, things have been on pause, with new baby in our household, but I am planning to get back to Red Clay Rally this fall. So I'm very excited about that, especially because we've got Red Clay Rally back in the heart of Appalachia again. That's going to be this year, and then next year we're planning Red Clay Rally West. So that's going to be super exciting. I'm very excited about that. It's going to be a long trip from Colorado all the way. It's going to end in Vegas. I mean, that's going to be a really cool rally. So
It's going to be awesome.
Very excited about Red Clay Rally. And then at the end of the year, I'm going to do, again, I mentioned Venture Unknown earlier. I'm going to do take part in Sweep Up the Southeast, and it's expanding outside of the Southeast. So it's a multi-state cleanup event, cleaning up public land. And last year we set a goal to clean up 100,000 pounds of trash off of public land. And it's, local groups going to our local parks. My group went to Land Between the Lakes, and we just cleaned up trash. And among all of our groups, we cleaned up 100,000 pounds of trash. It was amazing.
That's awesome.
We're going to do more. That'll be in December with Venture Unknown. So yeah, that's what I've got planned for the rest of the year. Just hoping to sleep through the night before then.
Yes.
Yeah,
man. I don't know if I've got much either. Last year I didn't get to make it to Red Clay. That's been probably the highlight of the year, or one or two of them. So planning to go back this year in September. And then hit Red Clay Rally West next year. I've got the green light for both, which is awesome. So last year we had a little girl around the time of Red Clay, and obviously, it was much better and much more productive to stay home and be with her. So, it was a bummer to miss it, but I'll be excited to get back out there. And then we actually just moved up to Ohio to be closer to family. So I am no longer in Tennessee, which is bittersweet. The land access is a little tougher. So I've got a couple of contacts, guys that are kind of up in the northern, northeast area that I hope to meet up with in the next few months, just show me around and try to find some good wheeling. But
you could drive out to West Virginia as well.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Sure.
So West Virginia, Red Clay, 2 years ago, I guess it was, hit up West Virginia, Kentucky, kind of like corridor up there.
Mm-hmm. Coal country.
Yeah,
coal country.
Like I've been out west a couple of times, but there was one or two campsites that I would probably almost rather go there than go out west. Mm-hmm. Like it was different. It was close by. I mean, it just felt like you shouldn't be able to find this over on the East Coast. Like that just took my breath away. And I've got the waypoints, and I still want to go up with some guys, some guys that haven't been there to show them, and some guys that have been there just to go relive a couple memories. So that'd be fun. Yeah. And then probably see how many more Baja Designs lights I can put on the truck. I mean, it's just it's part of it when you live on the pavement for a while.
I want to make a connection really quick with Red Clay Rally and West Virginia is Russ. So I met him out at Red Clay Rally. His team won last year. Maybe he got on the podium year before, but he recently moved to West Virginia, and he started OVR Guide, taking folks out on backcountry trips out through West Virginia. Check him out. His stuff looks amazing. Russ, he's a great guy.
Awesome. All right. So I'm going to wrap.
What about you, Davey? Do you have any trips, Davey? Real quick.
Yeah, you skipped over me too. Jeez.
Yeah, and Nick. Yeah.
Geez, Davey, what is it? 10 o'clock? Is it bedtime or something?
I started to go to you, Nick, but I figured you'd just wander off to do something in the yard, or your camera would shut off again.
He's just mowing for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
Throw a
still
headlamp on.
got to weed eat before the night's over. So,
Yeah, really make my neighbors happy. I'll just jump in real quick. So Red Clay Rally, it's a highlight of my year. This might be the first year I don't make it. Like Jordan, we just welcomed our second baby. She's 3 months old. We have kicked her out of the bedroom, so she is now sleeping in her own room. So mom and dad are. Some nights we're getting full night's sleep. Some nights we're up a couple times, but I don't know if I'll be able to. Hey, thanks. Yeah, it's huge. I should be asleep right now because sleep when the baby sleeps, and she's been asleep since 7. But
what did I tell you? What did I tell you?
Gotta go to sleep. Gotta go to sleep.
If you're listening to this and not watching it, Nick's feed keeps disappearing, and then he shows back up a couple of minutes later. So that's what we're talking about.
All that money
here.
he spent on a Toyota doesn't have good Wi-Fi anymore. Bummer.
I'll talk while he's disappeared. The trips, I've got just a couple of events. I'll be back at Mardi Gras down at Hawk Pride, put on by the Louisiana Land Cruisers, and that's in September. And I think there might actually be a Mardi Gras episode coming too. There's a teaser for you. And then Cruisers on the Rocks back in Windrock in October. So
for,
Davey, let me ask you
people
this.
like me, Davey, that don't follow along with this a whole lot, where's the best place to go to keep up with your rides and everything? Instagram or Facebook or?
Well, yes, with the STLCA rides, Instagram or Facebook, we've got them all Facebook events set up for each one, so that's probably the easiest place.
With reminders, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Davey, let me ask you this. Are you working with someone to get that New Year's ride going again in 2026?
The New Year's
ride.
That
is the one I meant to mention that I'm going to try to get down there for sure.
Let me see if I can mute Nick's sprinkler if you're hearing that in your headset now. This boy ain't right, I'm telling you.
Hey, you invited them, just remember.
Oh, big country over there.
There we go. Yes, the New Year's ride will definitely happen back at Colmont. I don't know if it will be the same setup as last year, if there will be a Cove ride and a Colmont ride. There's a lot of things going on there, and we're not going to get into all that this episode, but hopefully it will still be accessible come January. Yeah, he's back again. Yeah.
I got to put these mud trains to the test, Davey. I can't just keep riding on the pavement. I'll wear them out by the time January comes around.
We can find somewhere. You just got to get back down here first.
I know. I owe a trip down there to see you guys.
All right. What I was going to say before is let's wrap this thing up. But let's go around the circle here real quick, and let's end this with our Overland Weekly rapid fire questions. So first question, I'm going to start with Chase here on the spot. Favorite off-road trail snack?
Man, I live in East Tennessee now. We've got Dr. Enough, which is like the local energy drink. So a Dr. Enough and a good old PB&J hits the spot every time.
Dr. Enough. Yeah, that's pretty local. I don't
bring
think
you one next time.
I'm very familiar with him. I didn't.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I'd say people in other parts of the country may not be familiar.
Not a clue.
Yeah.
Nope.
Is it like a Mountain Dew?
Kind of, yeah. It's a trade secret. So,
yeah. All right, Ethan. Trail snack.
Oh, a C4 energy drink.
I should have known that. Yeah, you and Matt, those dang.
Should have known that, and some beef jerky. Good old Jack Link's beef jerky is a good choice.
If C4 is looking for vehicles to sponsor, I know that Ethan would wrap that
right
truck in a heartbeat.
You know,
Yeah.
I don't want to sound desperate, but I've been trying a little bit here and there. Just maybe a shameless plug in a video or a story. I'd be happy to comply.
All right, Jordan.
Just a Cliff Bar. Just a Cliff Bar. Something to keep
What
you
flavor?
going.
Oh yeah, what flavor?
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Just something to fill up my tummy for a little bit. Yeah, just chocolate, peanut butter, whatever.
All right. Question number 2. DeWalt or Milwaukee?
Oh,
Come on,
Milwaukee.
Milwaukee.
Matter of fact.
Yeah, this tells me
Since
something.
we work on Nissans, we got to keep those things on us. Come on, baby.
All right. And last question. Ethan, you go first. If you could only listen to one artist or one album while you're on the trail for the day, what are you putting on?
I'm going to get a lot of heat for this, but give me Future. I'm a hip hop and rap kind of guy.
I don't even know what that is.
I knew it.
Makes
Some
sense
old
why you got all those
school-
lights now. You'll turn on the light.
some old school music, or old school Future from pre-2020. That's my jam right there.
Oh, pre-2020 is old school
Yeah.
now.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
They change their styles up all the time.
I got Chase talking about being born in the 90s, and now I got you talking about pre-2020 is old.
Hey, I was 94. Come on now.
Yeah. All right, Jordan, what's your album?
Off the top of my head, I would say Ricky Skaggs, Highway 40 Blues. I just love Ricky Skaggs, all of his stuff.
Well, that fits
I listen to classic.
your Appalachia trip perfect.
That's right. I listen to the classic country. So yeah.
There you go. All right, Mr. McFresh.
I'm going to go anything Treaty Oak Revival. So they're kind of like alternative country.
I've heard that.
And it gives you a really good, probably 60% odds that the razors going past you will like it and they won't rooster tail your truck. So it helps out with the locals.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Well, Nick disappeared and hasn't come back. So so I'm sure it's a toss up between Britney Spears and Christina Aguilera's first albums, which one he choose, but
Chapel Roan.
All right,
some jam flow, man.
We're gonna wrap this thing up. I appreciate you guys joining me.
Thanks, Davey. Appreciate you having us on.
Thanks, Davey. Thanks for having us on, man.